most intense dream this morning, and it was one of those dreams that just seemed so real. You know what I mean? And there were so many rapture references, and stars falling from the sky, and fires, and something on it. A small population of people living on the moon, and it was crazy, you guys. I gotta tell you this, okay? The first thing that I remember, I can't remember all of the dream, but the first thing that I remember was seeing, you're gonna laugh, but I saw Indiana Jones fighting all these people, and then he grabbed this woman that was next to him, and they shot up into the air. And they were floating up into the sky, and I remember thinking, that's not in the movie. And I actually became conscious in my dream. And I was thinking to myself, I think that's a rapture reference. And as I was thinking about it in the dream, I had like 4 or 5 confirmations in a row. And it was so intense, and I can't even explain it to you guys. When I woke up, I was so I just felt all of this exhilaration when I woke up this morning, right after I had this dream. But anyway, I can't remember what exactly it was. I mean, those confirmations that I had in the dream, I can't remember what they were exactly, but I remember that they were words, and some of them were words and phrases like rise up and different things, but they happened all in a row. And I just remember thinking in the dream itself, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we're going. And I was actually thinking in the dream, I gotta tell everybody, we're going, we're really going, it's real, we're going. And so for some reason, something in my dream really confirmed it for me, and unfortunately I can't remember what that was. Like I said, the only thing I remember was that first part of it. Okay, now the next thing, the rest of it I remember. Okay, it starts out, the part that I remember, I'm going to try to get this in order, but I'm probably not going to get it all in order. It was somebody that I knew, and personally, someone from my past was in my dream, and it was just somebody from my past, and he was handing out I was in some kind of building, and there were a bunch of other people there in the building, and for some reason I knew it was Thursday, because you know how at Thanksgiving you always take Thursday and Friday off if you're in school? Well, this was like, for some reason we knew that we were taking Thursday and Friday off, but something happened. I don't think it was Thanksgiving though, but I just remember it was Thursday. It was like that. It was like a 4-day weekend kind of thing. But for some reason, something happened, and whatever it was that was planned for Friday was canceled or changed or something. And so the kids were going back to school, or kind of expected to go back to school. So this person was handing out vouchers, or I'm sorry, excuses or something, excusing all the kids from school on Friday. And so he said to me, "You have a little one, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, he's in kindergarten, but he's not 5 yet." Or I was either thinking it or I said it, and I said or thought, "But he's not 5 yet." So, I mean, the only other thing that could make sense would be that he was 4. And just so you guys know, right now my son is 3. So that would mean 2014. Okay. So, um, so that was kind of bizarre. I don't know. But then again, it might have been somebody else because a lot of times I dream from other people's perspective. But like I said, I knew that guy. That was a person from my past. So it kind of makes me think maybe that was me. But like I said, I don't know. It could have been anybody. Um, and then I saw 2 celebrities, and sometimes I think this is important because it might give a sense of timing. Um, I saw Mariah Carey, and she had her feet were swollen, and she was trying to walk in these heels, and she was limping, and I remember I said, "Why don't you just stay here for a little while?" And so she went and sat down and was reading a magazine, and we were in this huge mansion, but it was honestly, it looked more like a museum than a mansion. And I went into this other room, and Bill Gates was there. And there were these children around him. And for some reason, he couldn't count back change. He was doing something with cash, and he couldn't count back the change. And the kids were helping him. It wasn't me. Obviously, this wasn't me. I don't know who this was, but I was seeing it from their perspective, and I laughed. I laughed because he couldn't count. He didn't know how to count back change. And the kid, this little boy, and he must have been like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, told him how much change to give him back, and he said, just give me a quarter and $1. And I think that's what he said. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's what he said. Okay. Then I was on this bus, and there were a bunch of people on buses, and they were going somewhere. And for some reason, I knew, and I'm not sure how I knew this. It seemed like I was changing places, but there were buses that were going somewhere, but they were in all different places all over the world or something. Anyway, I was in this bus, and I saw this. I felt like I was living in like South America or Mexico or something. And I saw this person, this like security guard, and she was a woman, and she was standing, and we were in like a field. And I remember we were leaving her, and she didn't think it was any big deal, but I did. And I remember staring at her thinking, oh no, what's going to happen to her? It was kind of weird. Well, then I was at this building, this big building. Oh, right before that. Okay, this is weird. This is really weird, and this is where the dream gets really intense and real. I was I was in outer space, but it seemed like I was on the moon, and I saw like a sports field or a football field or something. And I remember they were conducting tests, and there was a small population of people living on this. I don't know where it was. I think it was the moon. And they were living in this place, and they were preparing for a larger population that was going to come up there from the earth. And they were like doing like not really drills, because it was pretty much their whole lifestyle was preparing for the bigger population. And I somehow knew this, and I'm not sure how. I somehow knew that this smaller population was going through, they were living like normal lives in this other place, like on the moon or wherever it was. And they went to a football game or something like on the moon. And but I remember that somebody was talking about how they kept pausing the game to fix different things. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Like, they're having a football game on the moon. And they were like preparing to have the whole population, and they wanted to make the transition easy for everyone. So they were like, they had all these things that were just exactly the way it is on Earth, and they tried to make it as similar to Earth as they possibly could, including like all this, including football games. Okay, and I just couldn't believe it. Anyway, I heard this person talking about, yeah, they keep stopping because they're testing something or whatever. Okay, right after that, I looked up in the sky, only now I was next to this building, and I think I was on the Earth. I was next to this huge building. And I looked up in the sky. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so scary. I can't. You know how it is when you dream something and it's just so intense and so real, and it's hard to express that to people. This was so real, you guys. And I've had a dream like this before, seeing stuff in the sky. I looked up and I saw 4 stars. The first thing I saw was 4 stars all in a row falling to the earth. They just looked like stars. They didn't look like meteors. They just looked like stars falling to the earth. And there were 4 all in a row. And they were moving, like from my perspective, from left to right, only down. You know what I mean? Like down toward the earth. And then then I realized that there was more than just 4. And I counted them. I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I counted 7 of them, but somehow I felt like there were a lot more than just 7, but that was all that I had counted. I'm telling you, it was so scary. I can't even explain it to you guys. It was so scary. It was like, what is that? What is that? And it was so scary. And then I turned around, and for some reason I was waiting for a small group of people to come toward the building, and they were walking toward me, and there was about 4 or 5 of them. And all of a sudden we heard someone scream in the bush, in the woods, like some distance away. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know feet, but it was like maybe like a car lengths. It was like maybe 6 or 7 car lengths away. Somebody screamed in the woods, and then all of a sudden that group of people came running toward me, and I was just standing there like, wait, what's happening? Which way should I go? Should I go into the building or out into the woods? And I didn't know. And then I saw the fire, and there was fire coming toward us in the woods. And then I screamed, and we all ran toward the door, and I ran in, and we shut the door. Okay, it was so scary, you guys. I can't even explain it to you. Seeing those stars falling like that was the scariest thing I have ever seen in my life. I know it was just a dream. I'm out of time, but it was so real, you guys. It was so real. It was just bizarre. Okay, I'll let you go.